are you? So I want to talk about Shadowhunters. There have been 7 episodes so far. I think it's much easier to talk about them in a block like this rather than doing just like one video about it per episode because that would get like kind of tedious. You probably don't want to see my face that much, so. But I do have some feelings and some things that I want to talk about. I don't have like specific notes or certain things I want to talk about, so it's probably going to be like a stream of consciousness, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to try to edit it to where it actually makes sense, and yeah. Now before I get into it, I want to state something very clearly. This will contain spoilers for the past 7 episodes and probably for the book series in general. As I've said before, I'm a huge fan of the book series. But for me, it's always been easy to separate book to movie to TV show to any other type of medium. So when I say that, in my mind, I'm able to separate that the show is not going to be exactly like the books. It's not. The show is really kind of deviating from the books. They're changing a lot. A lot of people don't like what they're changing. Some people do. I'm kind of in the middle. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about the show. This is just mine, my personal opinion, and yeah. First, I want to talk about the Lightwood siblings. I said this after I watched the pilot. One of my favorite things about this show is the Lightwood sibling interaction, and I'm counting Jace in that. It feels so canon to me. You know, the way they joke back and forth, and the way they protect each other, and the way Izzy defends them, and it's just, oof, I love Alec. And I read something about this whole arranged marriage thing, and I was like, what? Whenever I first heard about it, I get what they're doing. They're trying to make Malik, you know, like, I guess like this whole surprise thing or slow thing to happen. I mean, they mentioned it. They've touched on it. Isabel is fully supportive of it. But I feel like they're kind of like teasing the fans that know about Malik and are going to try and kind of bring back on it a little bit. It's kind of the feeling I get. Same thing with like Jason Clary. But I want to talk about Alec because I feel like they're treating him right on the show, even though it is cheesy as hell sometimes. Do not get me wrong. I feel like they really understand Alec as a character and where he's coming from, and that just makes me so happy. I personally really like what they're doing to Izzy too. I know after the pilot a lot of people freaked out about Izzy, but they're not shaming her for it. They're making it a part of her, and she's using it to her advantage just like she does in the books. I think it's awesome. I think it's really empowering. I really like how they're writing the women on this show, and usually I don't. Same thing for The 100. I love how they write their women characters. After the 2nd episode, I stopped watching weekly, just because I was kind of like, ugh, okay, maybe I made a big mistake by liking this. But then I had to sit down and marathon, and I watched them up to episode 6, and by about episode 5, I was like, yes. Episode 6 I loved. Episode 7, I'm liking it more and more. I think it's really gaining speed. I think they're getting into character development. I'm liking where the storylines are going. Speaking of storylines though, I still don't understand Chernobyl. Like, why? I don't. Magnus is awesome. Harry's doing more of like his snarkiness and a little bit of sarcasm and his humor, and I really am liking that a lot. I said the line that I was alive when the Dead Sea was just a lake that was feeling poorly, and that's one of my all-time favorite Magnus lines. I was so happy to hear that. Also, spoiler for Infernal Devices, kind of, I guess, he brought up Tessa. He mentioned Tessa, and I was like, so they're tying in. Are they going to tie in Infernal Devices? Like, what's, I get really emotional watching this show, simply because I love the character so much. And I want to talk about Simon. They are definitely escalating his storyline. To me, that really makes sense, because if you think about it, Simon doesn't have that huge of a part in City of Bones. And I mean, he does, but he's kind of just, you know, the best friend sidekick character. Comic relief, if you will. But now, with becoming a vampire, he has his own storyline. It makes him a much bigger part of the show. I don't get why it's Camille that changed him, because in the book it was Raphael, and so I wonder how what they're gonna do with that later down the line. Also, Luke just now becoming Alpha, that was kind of interesting. I want to talk about Luke though. I said that he had the cheesiest lines, and in the pilot he did, but he's getting better. And you know what? I really like the Luke character. Old Spice Guy is doing good. He had a Clay's kiss, and honestly, I got more emotional over the fact that they hugged before they kissed. The hug got to me more than the kiss did, actually. But it was cute, and everyone's happy, and all the OTP hashtags are coming out. I'm assuming that the cliffhanger is, you know what I'm talking about. I know that they're making Izzy the way that she is, you know, like the happy-go-lucky version, because she doesn't know about Robert's affair. And I kind of like that because she's being nice to Clary. And I don't feel like they really become friends until like the 3rd book. I like that. We need more girl friendships on TV, and I like what they're doing with this. That brings me to the character of Jace. Oh, Jace. I basically have a crush on his entire lineage. He's not like book Jace. But in some ways I really like that. Don't get me wrong, Jace is one of my favorite characters ever. But what I like about the show is that they're making him nice. He's not an ass, really. Don't get me wrong, I love his sarcasm, I love his snarkiness in the books. It's one of my favorite things about him. But I feel like if that was the way they're portraying the character on the show, it would get annoying to watch. It would get old. I would be so done with Jace by like the 3rd episode if he acted like he does in the book. He's still got that sarcasm, he's still got that snark, but it's not quite as prevalent, and he's being nice to Clary, which is fun to see. It makes you ship them more. Visually, I think they're making Jace out to be a pretty good guy, and I like that. So, you know, if you aren't liking it as a show, I'm sorry. I'm enjoying it. I know a lot of other people are. And I'm excited to see where it goes. You know, it's not perfect. It's never gonna be perfect. In some ways, it's definitely like an ABC family drama, you know. But, you know, it's still fun to watch, and it's still characters that I love, and I get to see somewhat IRL. You know, they're not just on a page. So for that, I like it. So I'm gonna keep watching, and yeah, I really hope that it doesn't start going downhill. Thank you. People have also been talking about like inconsistencies, like the fact that Jace drove the vampire motorcycle, but he crashed Luke's truck. I'm assuming the truck was a stick shift, because honestly, I would crash that too.